Hey, glad you could make it. Welcome to Fantasy Dad Pods, where dad bods are glorified and dad jokes are encouraged. I'm JT, accompanied by Sean. Sean, how we doing?
We're not doing too bad. Not doing too bad. We updating the house. We turn on the heat now, and all Sunday nose is running like crazy. You smell the heat turn on, or Saturday, and you sleep Sunday, and then it's just you wake up like mega allergies because your system's kicking on. Everything's getting pushed in the house, and me and the youngest got it. Oldest and wife, nothing. But me and youngest, we went to a little mini pumpkin patch that's in a little smaller town near us, and a sperm of the moment thing on Sunday because from grandma's hometown, she knew the people. She's like, "Let's go." So we go, and I got a runny nose the whole time. Of course, I don't pack any Kleenex, so I'm kind of like trying not to make me miserable, but I'm kind of miserable. I'm like, "Oh, my nose is running. Kids are running around everywhere." But I'm like, let's just, you gotta wipe it on your sleeve or whatever. But yeah, it was. Other than that, we were having a good time, and it was good on that. I did not get. I don't know if you've had this yet, JT. I know you're looking svelte right now. Uh, congrats on the diet. Are you trying the Krabby Patty at Wendy's? Like, I mean,
Ooh,
I was trying to get that this weekend, and we didn't have time. And I'm telling my wife, I go, if I don't get a Krabby Patty, I'm gonna be pretty upset. I need just to try it just once. Like,
can be pretty crabby.
yeah, exactly. She
Low
calls it
hanging fruit, sorry.
a crusty. She messes it up every time. I'm like, you are not a
A
SpongeBob fan.
crusty burger. You're like, no, that's
Calls it something,
disgusting.
and I'm just like, that's a Krabby Patty. Everyone knows what a Krabby Patty is. And she just, I don't even know what she says now. I'm just like, because my mind just like immediately goes Krabby Patty. Like, so I just don't know what she does. So I think we're planning on it next weekend to get a Krabby Patty at some point. So, but that's what I'm looking forward to, as you can tell. And it's just gonna be a regular burger, just a little bit thicker, and that's it. And I'm totally fine with that. But
Mm-hmm.
it's SpongeBob. It's Krabby Patty. It's fine. It's what I want. So yeah, that's how I've been. Just dreaming about a Krabby Patty. What about you?
I might have to partake. I saw it was coming out, and then I was like, oh, it's not out yet, and then I kind of forgot about it. So if it's coming out or it's already out, is what you're
So
saying?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we still have. So we're
Pineapple. I think it's pineapple flavored frosty as well. I think. Yeah.
oh. Yeah, we got football practice this week because we made the playoffs. So Tuesday,
Yeah.
Thursday, and we're already over by the middle school next to the high school. So
Get some calories in there. Yeah.
already in town, and yeah, I'll do my workout with the kids. I'll put on the flag, mix it up,
There you go. See,
um,
you'll burn
earn
the
it.
calories. You need to get the calories back in the body.
Yeah, you got to burn it to earn it. We learned
Exactly.
this,
And
so
SpongeBob. Just he'll help you out.
I'm willing to try. I gotta try it. It's kind
Yeah.
of a niche thing.
Yeah.
So.
Exactly.
Otherwise, yeah. So youngest flag football season's over. It was fun. Oldest, they got the dub, um, and so they're moving on into the playoffs. TBD on most of that, but at least um, got another game. So yeah, played cornhole Friday night. Full family event. Hadn't played in quite a while because football practice kind of lands on the same days,
Yeah.
or I sub in for a bowling team, which kind of lands on some of those days. But Friday, so the boys got to play mini golf, and I played cornhole, and then the wife actually joined in on cornhole. She took third. I went 0-2. Um, unfortunately, just kind of one of those
Rusty a
things.
little bit. Yeah. Yeah.
No fault of my own is what I'll say.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
not pointing fingers, but it's just one of those things. Luck of the draw of the partner. But
Oh, I got you. I got
one
you.
of our longtime guys, Alan, he all of a sudden I just see him beeline it out of there, like running. I was like, "What? Please tell me that was a good thing," because I knew his daughter was pregnant. I was like, "Please tell me that's like she's in labor and nothing bad's happening." Like they're like, "Oh yeah,
Yeah.
she just went in labor and he got the call, so he's out of here." I was like, "Oh good, okay, well that's good news, yeah, yay, happy for them." And fast forward, healthy. They didn't know the gender, healthy baby boy. So shout out.
Okay.
Um, and he's a grandpa now. And his partner was like, "Oh, are you out, JT?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm out." He goes, "You're my partner now. You're Alan." I was like, "Alan could pass for my uncle. Like we kind of could look alike. Let's do it." So we made a run. Because they had just come off their last loss, and so we won like 3 or 4 in a row, and then got to the championship match, and probably had to face two of the top 20 players in the state.
Ooh, okay.
And one of them's from Moses Lake area, um, and the other is a 10-year-old in the Tri-Cities who's the son of the director,
Just
and
a sniper.
he just picked up cornhole in the last like 4 months or so. Like he's
Just
been
a
around it, and now he's just like he got serious about it. He's the one that took the intermediate state
yeah.
championship at Wenatchee. Yeah, same kid, still getting better. And I have I so we live streamed these. I'm going to vent a little bit. We live streamed these. I
Mhm.
went back and I recorded like a 50-second clip of it, and I threw an amazing, phenomenal round, and so did he. And I'm just like, the best I can do is wash him down 10 on 10. It
Yeah.
was ridiculous. It was just ridiculous. He threw the bag and it landed really short on the board. And so I stepped out and went in the hole. And then he tried to push that bag closer, and he had two now like medium, like middle of the board. I'm like, "What's up, little kid? I'm a grown adult, airmail, swoosh." Then he tries to push again. One goes in, one kind of goes off to the side, but still on the board.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? That airmail felt so pure. Here we go. Splash Bro number 3 is me. Bam. Swish it again. And then he goes like, I might have missed a throw in there. I might have missed. Anyway, he goes push collect 2 bags in. And anyway, I think I missed one
You
off
basically had
this.
to like hit the board or get all perfect to keep
He had
up with him.
he had collect both bags in off of a crazy collect. Like I just literally was. I turn around, and I won't cuss like I did in person, but I turned around to his dad, who's the director. I was like, you know what, Mark? And I'm
Yeah.
gonna leave out the cuss words. And I was like, I am angry that you procreated. Your spawn is kicking my butt. Is basically what I implied. So and yeah, later in the game, I had to hit an airmail just to keep in the game. And he's just such a little like he's got a good spirit to him. He's a really
Yeah.
polite, quiet kid, but he's super honest. He's just like
Yeah.
very direct with you. He's like, "Nice hit, JT. I was hoping you didn't hit the airmail because then you would have lost the game." I was like, "Yeah, there's a lot of pressure on that one." I was thinking the same thing. He's a good kid, but they wiped the floor with us.
Kids just how is that place? That place looks legit.
It's
Like
fun.
it is the miniature golf pretty good.
Like it's solid. I
We went
haven't
to
been to the
another
Glow
local
one.
place on like a date night, and it was kind of a letdown. So we're like, let's try another place. And
Was it the Glow one?
yeah,
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 I haven't been in the Glow one, but from what people told me, it's kind of like, do you want small, glow in the dark, whatever, or do you want like
yeah.
really big spread out and it's still kind of like whatever? Like,
Okay.
I don't know.
Is
Like,
there things to do other than the miniature golf if you go there?
yeah, there's like all the little a couple like I don't know, a dozen different arcade games kind of off the
Okay.
side, random. They're just kind of
Yeah.
hand me down stuff, random. But there's like a pool table, and there's like shuffleboard,
Other little stuff.
and then
Yeah.
our club leaves out cornhole boards if you just want to like
Oh,
mess
okay.
around, throw cornhole. And they have like that new kind of like build your own TV, so you put in like the panels, and each panel connects to the next, and you can create whatever size you
Oh,
want
okay.
to display. So the whole screen looks like it's like 10 feet diagonal,
Oh,
and
okay.
it's like a predominantly like a sports playing vibe. So they'll play any sport that's on TV. They usually have it up. So Friday night we were watching the baseball game
That's
5, and
legit. That's legit.
so
Yeah, that
I
one
at least
just
check it out.
the other one just kind of ends, and then there's nothing else to do. So you're like, what do I
Oh
do here? I just play
yeah,
golf. But enough of the local stuff here. As Well, I have no transition. Okay, sports. I was trying to think of something, and my brain just like reset.
Speaking of trying to beat up, no, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't beat
10-year-olds?
up a
What?
10-year-old.
My first person I'm looking at is Matthew Stafford. I'm like, is he like the one person? Hold on. Matthew Stafford. Is he like the one quarterback I'm looking at who's older than us? Son of a. I'm older than him. God damn it. Okay.
I was gonna say, isn't he? Yeah,
36. He's 36. I think I got him. I don't think you do.
yeah, probably.
Yeah, he's in between us. That old man Matthew Stafford. Not expected to miss any time, but the one we do need to discuss is we did talk about it last time was maybe Derek Carr looking okay.
Mm-hmm.
Spencer Rattler came in and looked solid in his absence. So I don't think I don't know if you think so, but I don't know if he's gonna lose his job, but he is expected to miss a couple weeks. And if Rattler does look or it continues to grow off of this, I mean they put up what 30 points? I mean, your offense puts up 30 points without you. Happens a couple more weeks. I don't know. I'd be on the watch list. I don't know if we can get to it later about picking up Spencer. I'll say that for picking up later. We can talk about that. Tua, the coach did say, I believe earlier today, he expects him to play week 8. I heard
Yes,
that.
yeah, still tracking towards week 8. Yeah.
So I think that was the last I heard with Tua. So that is good news. Did you hear anything else with quarterbacks related? I didn't hear anything else.
No one that stands out.
Yeah, I didn't hear anything. Running backs wise, James Cook did not play last minute inactive Monday night. I don't think he's risk of losing his job, but his backup, don't quiz me on it now. I just watched the game, but I was more worried about Josh Allen fantasy wise. Keeman looked pretty good. Not gonna lie. So I think more playing time's coming, but I don't think that injuries. I don't see anything. Oh, Jerome Ford, Cleveland running back, week to week. Although they did say Nick Chubb is going to return week 7. Is
Oh, that's
expected
not
to return week 7. So
yeah.
I don't know if it's like full go, like here you are, but that obviously is going to cut into his workload. Was going to cut into his workload anyways.
Good timing all around in general. One take back sees Anthony Richardson is tracking towards a week 7 return.
Yeah.
For
I know it was close to this week and he didn't play, but ETN Jr. week to week with hammy, those soft tissue things tend to be a little annoying and linger. We'll get to the Washington. I don't want to ruin the Giants thing because we'll talk about that in a little bit here when I talk about pickup. Chris Olave, I played you last minute. You got concussion.
Yeah.
If I had left the guy in that I had in, I would have won. And not blaming you, Chris Olave. I mean, obviously you got a concussion. That's not nothing there, but that was more of a me tinkering last minute Sunday morning before we go to the pumpkin patch. And I looked at, I was like, if I had just forgot my phone, I would have won.
Right.
just turned my phone died overnight. Would have won.
Same boat.
I picked up another person that morning. I was like, I'll just pick him up. If I played him, I still would have won. If I had just not played Chris Olave, I would have won. And I just was like, I think Chris Olave is going to do something. And turns out they did score a lot of points. It just wasn't him. So that was just rough.
Concussion, fumble.
Yeah, I think it was a good play if he doesn't get that concussion because they were clearly airing it out, and it was clearly going to be good, but just like happened to get the concussion.
And like the quote, I think during the week, the whole Rattler's going to play and everything. It was just like, oh man, Olave, he's just like, just give him the ball. He was just like super excited to just be able to be on the same field as him. I was like, that's kind of cool. And I was like, let's roll the dice.
So that morning we woke up, spoiler, at 5:30 Sunday morning. The youngest decided to wake up coughing, so so we're with the air coming on and everything, and so he just had a runny nose and was coughing a little bit. So he was fine once he just wanted to get up. So we both got up, and I was watching the London game. They were talking about that. They were like, Chris Olave just playing. So what I'm actually saying is it's my youngest's fault. If I had not been woken up and been listening to that, oh my gosh, Owen, come on. But yeah, the spoiler was I had Romeo Dobbs in there, and he scored 2 touchdowns.
Oh snap!
Not a lot of yards, so we could get to that later. That actually does worry me a little bit. I don't know how reliable scoring on 66% of your touches is. But I
Mm-hmm.
did have him in there just because I'm on a couple bye weeks and things like that in that league. So no other major injuries, at least like happened, because there's people coming back. And then I feel like okay. Let's talk about tight ends. TJ Hawkinson's working his way back. His window is opened, and so
Yeah.
he comes back. I don't want to keep ignoring tight ends, but yeah, so we need to talk about him there. But I think injury wise, I don't think there's anybody else tight end wise that really we need to discuss. Yeah, we can get into actual players. I think that injury wise,
Did
that's
Conklin end up playing tonight?
that I did not see. That actually I could check real quick.
Let's just say he didn't, because he at least had less than 4 fantasy points from my quick search. So whether he played or not, he
Didn't help
didn't play.
either
If
way
you know what
for
I
you.
mean.
He did play. He did play.
Oh, he did.
Two catches. Yeah, 2 catches for.
Because he had a hip thing, and so I went a different route at the tight end. I was like, I don't want to wait till Monday to figure out that you're not gonna.
I threw
play.
a flyer on Hunter Henry, and he got a tutty this week. So
there you go.
That's the tight end dream. You're like, yeah, this guy, and he gets a
Right.
touchdown. The 40 yards and a touchdown. You're like, hey, that's tight end all written all over it. There we go. There we go. Outscored one of my running backs and DK Metcalf. So can't complain.
Yep.
Can't complain. Alrighty. So do you want to do targets? Let's do targets. That's kind of like what we're looking at here. We talked about Wan'Dale Robinson, and as let me actually see. What did he do with all of those?
Not much.
I was gonna say, like, I'm looking at it, I was
11
like,
targets, 5 catches, 50 yards.
that's what I was like, I didn't think he did a ton with all those catches, but he just keeps getting targeted. But Daniel Jones, I had to pick him up in a bye week in my work league, and I was like, just give me something. And he didn't. He did not give me something. And I was like, Wan'Dale, I need you. Didn't give me nothing. I did have the running back, but we'll look at that later. But it's nice to see, but at a certain point, like, it's just nothing. It's just becoming a nothing burger. You know what I mean? Like, he's had one good week, I feel like. Fantasy points. 2.
Pretty much, yeah.
You could argue 2. I mean, minus it. When I do these things, I don't include touchdowns because I look at the yards, because those are the things that I think carry over more, versus touchdowns can be awfully random. And so
Right.
it does factor, but I'm like, yards. Did you get like 50 something yards, or more than 50 yards? And he could say yes for 2 of the weeks, but man, when you're turning your, those are the weeks he's most efficient. But you said 11 targets, 5 catches for only 50 yards. It just feels like that's a mess. And I feel like a lot of those games, you're like, oh, it's just a messy game. I'm like, but it's Daniel Jones and the Giants offense. Isn't that what's gonna always be? I feel like. So that's that. Is there anyone on here that's surprising you? Anyone that's like, whoa?
I kind of wish I had seen Evan Ingram return. That would have helped out because again,
No.
you have a tight end, and if he's actually a part of the offense, coming back after not playing since week 1, especially in Ingram's case, that would have been good to know. But again, that was the early game, and unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on your viewpoint, because you're kind of opposed, I got to sleep in on Sunday, so I missed the morning game. So I was like, oh, I didn't realize Ingram was going to play. And yeah, but anyway.
I woke up before the London game kicked off at 6:30 a.m. our time. So
Right. So
yeah,
that's a positive. I'm sure owners were appreciating that.
I guess the guy that still stands out here is the Brock Bowers guy, my sleeper coming in. He just keeps getting these targets when it comes to tight ends. I'll say one that I get that is on here. Overall, I don't want to count too far down, but Jackson Smith-Njigba is up here, 49 total targets so far this year. That's just a lot. He's like right next. He's basically tied with Malik Neighbors and Zay. He's more than Zay Flowers, and more than Stephon Diggs. and you were telling me like, oh, coming in the year, JSN's gonna have more targets than them. Now, doing as much with them, not obviously not as much, but still, it's just like where there's targets, usually yards are gonna come, and if they don't come, like they'll come eventually. I feel like this will get ironed out, this will get figured out, and I feel like eventually the yards will come. He's kind of the one that I find most surprising on here. Drake
Oh yeah.
London, Kirk Cousins has been like, okay, you're good. Like clearly, everything we say about Kyle Pitts not coming with Kirk Cousins, Drake London's done it now. Like it was like he needed a quarterback and to blow up, and Drake London is blown up. He's got what 4 touchdowns already this year? Yeah, 4 touchdowns already this year in 6 games. So, I don't know if I want to say a dude, but he's getting close. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. I
Like
mean, there's
yeah,
there's two offenses that really stand out, at least definitely over the whole season and like the last 2 weeks that are coming to mind. It's like the Giants pass the ball a lot, the Falcons pass the ball a lot, and Seahawks pass the ball a lot. Now for the Seahawks, I mean, it didn't really equate to anything. I mean, like DK, 11 targets, 3 catches,
yeah,
cool. 9 targets for JSN, 5 catches, and then I just saw Lockett here in the
8
top
catches.
20.
Yeah,
8 targets, 4
or
catches.
8.
Got the tutty, um, but hey, it's opportunity. And you know
Yeah,
who got the opportunity? Switching up your boy Tank Dell, because was it Nico Collins hitting the IR?
yeah. Buy
So
the Tank Dell stock. Telling you.
yeah, it looks like it happened
Yeah,
before, between recordings, because like then the Nico Collins thing happened
yeah,
midweek, and then by
yeah,
the weekend, people, it's 9% rostered, is what I'm saying.
yeah,
I'll just
yeah.
cut to the chase,
It's
but yeah, it's CJ
yeah,
Stroud. It's a really good offense, and there's targets to be had for the next 3 weeks now, at least minimum.
yeah.
Just
Yeah, Tank Dell, real nice. My wife has Tyler, and right before the end, before that touchdown at the end of the game, and I was like, she's like, Tyler's just not doing anything. It's already over. I'm gonna lose. And he scores a touchdown the next play. And I was like,
oh, she robbed it. God
yeah, I was like, come on.
dang it.
I was like, come on. I was like, you didn't deserve those 6 points. You don't even
Oh
deserve.
yeah,
You
you
would give
quit.
it up. It's the
You
Thursday night game. She dropped 140. I'm sorry, JT, it was against you, but like, I'm
you're
just
right.
like, you've given up on the Thursday game. You had 1 player play. like,
It's
like,
verbal.
yeah,
It's binding.
yeah.
You should have frozen her
I,
stats
I
right
said I
there.
was like, I'll trade you for Tyler right now to get those points. Like no, and then like I said, although to be fair, I saw it because Twitter was a play faster, so I knew he scored. So I was
Oh,
like, give me all those points, and she's like, whatever, Tyler's already it's nothing, and then he scored. So I didn't know
nice.
ahead of time, but yeah, but I was just like, yeah, you're right. They throw an absolute ton. I guess the one here, I see Cortland Sutton on here. But this one's the ultimate like you're a liar because I mean he had 6 targets for 430. He's gotten over 60. He hasn't gotten over 68 yards yet this season. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
all these targets are like I mean the first week was 12 targets for 4 catches. That Denver offense just looks abysmal. And so I am just other
Mm-hmm.
than a touchdown, I don't think there's anything there. I will say the one guy we could talk about picking up later. I don't have his roster percentage. He did get nicked up. Lad McConkey. Where did he go?
He had 8 targets on the week, 4 catches, 43 yards, and he's 56% rostered.
He showed a lot of like because he got hurt in the game, and so uh he didn't finish the full game and still had 43 yards. And I was like, I think as Justin Herbert finally gets healthy with the bye week and everything, Justin Herbert looked a lot different this last week. And I was like, oh, and Denver's defense is pretty good, but they were moving that ball a little bit. They're running. And I'm like, okay, now as he gets a little healthier, now they don't have a lot of options, but I think Glad is kind of like the guy Justin Herbert trusts. And I think it's going to start coming for him. So I feel like Glad McConkey is the guy that needs to be picked up. Bub Means didn't know who that person was. 8 targets, 45 yards, and a touchdown. Okay, I missed the early morning window. I didn't get to see Red Zone or nothing like that. So sorry. You see the name Bub, I gotta check it out. Sorry. Got distracted.
I saw Calvin Ridley had 8 targets. I was like, oh, 0 catches, 1 run for 9 yards.
I did see the one run. Yes, I didn't know he
And
had
I
8
was
targets. That's interesting.
and so I'm like, what's the most targets in a game without a catch? I just had to Google it right now.
And
There's a tie, 0 for 10. Some guy named Chris Chambers of Miami back in 2006,
yeah, that rings a bell. Yeah.
and Chad Johnson, Cincinnati
Was he Chad Johnson? Was he
2002.
Ocho Cinco? Oh, 2002. So he was Chad Johnson. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Chad Johnson.
Oh, okay.
But also up here, 0 for 9, some names we might know. Amani Toomer with the Giants in
Yep.
07. And then I don't really know much of the other names, but they're all in the 2000s. But then Calvin Ridley, 0 for 8. We just saw T. Higgins had a 0 for 8 last year on Cincinnati, and Amari Cooper in 2015 for Oakland, and Johnny Knox. That sounds really familiar. Oh, yeah, Johnny Knox with Chicago,
Chicago. Yeah. The Seahawks. We were talking, I think
2011.
we were talking on this podcast. Seahawks ended his career in preseason. Yeah.
That's right. We just
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
Man, there's a lot of there's 3 Miami guys in the top 10. That just seems very random, but still.
I think it might be depending on the time of when it happened. Might make some sense. like who's throwing a football?
2019 and 2021. I don't know.
Pre-Tua? That's pre-Tua.
Yeah,
And is that Adam Gase territory?
probably in post Tannehill.
I think that's post Adam Gase, I believe. So we don't have to go into that, but
Just a funny
he's
observation.
2018 head coach. Okay, so around that time, yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, not good at that. We did not talk about Martin Harrison Jr. Concussion last week, so I don't know if it's going to linger, but that is probably something worth mentioning wide receivers wise. I just saw his name and only 2 targets, and I was like, that's right, he did get picked up. Darius Slayton, that is the guy I was going to play. JT, we talked about before the game, who I could have before the pod, who I could have picked up and played. 11 targets again, only 60 yards, but still 11 targets. Again, we talked about the Giants is a mess, but anytime someone's getting double-digit targets, you got to check it out. You got to probably roster the guy who gets double-digit targets, even if it doesn't work out every given week. You roster that. The Giants are just chucking this around, so that
there's a lot. I mean, as long as Neighbors is sidelined and in concussion protocol and going to concerts while doing so, and not really, Anyway, obviously he doesn't have like a big, what's that called with the flashing lights? Effect.
It's a strobe or
right.
Light sensitivity or whatever it is.
I would have thought you would if you are still experiencing concussion symptoms. Anyway, but a pretty sweet next 4 games still, like positive, like game scripts probably going to have to be thrown a lot. So Slayton's kind of sneaky if you need that like flex play if Neighbors is still out.
Well, we can kind of
on top of it, I mean, he's only 34% rostered.
We could transition this into pickups, but I have another one. I think looking at it with Drake May giving the guy, Demario Douglas got a bunch of targets with Drake May there and 92 yards. I don't know. I don't think 92 yards and a touchdown obviously is going to happen on 6 catches, but I think Drake May's that's his guy. That's the one. Usually they have a rapport better with somebody else, and I think it's Demario Douglas. I think they're going to air it out a little bit more with Drake May too, and Drake May can run. Will open up some lanes for some. Some defenders will have to kind of spy now they're thinking because Drake May is surprisingly athletic. I feel like everywhere I go, it's always surprisingly athletic just because he's not Lamar Jackson. But he is, and he can move, and so they're might have to spy him a little bit. And I just think Demario Douglas is going to be the guy who's going to be fit best with what Drake May brings. And so finally, maybe someone's worth rostering in the New England offense. I'd give it more a week. I'd be maybe check it out. put a waiver thing on it, and they play Jacksonville, favorable. But if he goes off against Jacksonville, then it's like, okay, he does have 3 difficult matchups after that, but like it's like, okay, there's something here, and I think he's the guy in that system.
Drake May. Here's the hot take. You ready? Drake
Okay,
May will be the Tyler Hansbrough of the NFL.
is that just like I'm trying to like because Tyler Hansbrough was like a rebounder. I'm like, how does that like and didn't do much. I'm like, how does that
I don't know. It just I
wait
was
to
like,
like?
Drake May looks like Tyler Hansbrough. He just looks like him.
I
And they
see
both went
that.
to UNC.
What is a
Like
rebounder? It would make more sense if he played defense. I feel like I'm trying to be like, what does a rebounder mean for a
Han
quarterback?
Hansborough at his peak, he only played a few years in the league, right? Where he's kind of relevant. He
Yeah,
was what, maybe a walking like 8 points, maybe double digit rebounds and just all hustle,
yeah, yeah.
I feel like Drake May could be just like a lot of yards. I'm not really sure if we can count on 3 touchdowns a game. I think he's going to move a much. He's got a little athletic ability. Rush a little bit. I feel like it's a solid baseline, but I just don't know where the ceiling is. How about that? How about that evaluation?
100%, 100%. I just was thinking rebounds, and I was like, how does
Right.
rebound to a quarterback throwing a ball?
He's
Like,
going to throw it, run down the field, and then go like up and
get
jump
it.
and catch his own pass.
We've never seen it. Why not? You get a 6'8" quarterback, jump ball
Mm,
himself, goal
yeah.
line. There you go.
Osweiler, where you at, bro?
Ugh, man, I don't know if that giraffe could even run the 4 yard like a goal line, get it
But
right on one side. He like throws it up to himself and just runs underneath it. That honestly, that's not crazy. I've seen some worse play calls. Um,
real question about Drake May.
yeah,
Does he, in a 2 QB league, is he on your radar? Are you considering a
not yet.
pickup of
No,
like a sweet, like
no.
a bye week matchup? He plays Jacksonville
I mean,
next week.
if you're in a 12-team league and it's a bye week, I feel like every quarterback's in play almost. But he'd be on the low, not because maybe of Drake May's talent this year. I mean, I think the running ability is actually going to help more than anything. But it's more of like that team just does not want to pass it very much. It's just not in their style yet.
Right.
Are they going to adjust? Maybe. I mean, you draft a quarterback that high, you've got to just eventually feed him the ball. And I'm okay with not feeding the ball in this first game. And against Houston is pretty good, but like at a certain point, you got to make the decision to do it. I hope to see it a little bit this year, but I understand like easing him in for a couple weeks.
Yeah,
But
he's got some tough matchups after week
yeah,
7, so it'd
like
be
the
tough to
Jets in a
trust.
couple
But
weeks.
if you have, I think it's really niche. It's really specific. If you
Yeah,
have Dak Prescott, who's on the bye week 7, or if you have Caleb Williams, and you literally have been going bare bones otherwise, and you just kind of need that quarterback play, we'll get into it, but I I could say throw a dart. Why not?
it's probably like you're right. It's in a 2 quarterback league. If it's a 1 quarterback, there's no radar he's ever going to be on. But if it's a 2 quarterback
Hmm.
league, and like you said, like he could be very much like we talked about it. Pittsburgh's guy Fields get a rushing touchdown.
Yeah,
I can see that, and rushing touchdown and throw for 140 yards. Suddenly, that's like a decent little, that's an output. Like because I think 100, 80, maybe 200 yards. He did throw for 250, but I think more they're going to try to keep him closer to throwing it 28 times, 25 times. Maybe 180, 200, 200 in a rushing touchdown and maybe a touchdown. That's not a bad day. That's not a bad day, and I think that's more realistic. So he did rush for 5 times last week, so for 40
right.
yards. So I think that's there. Uh, we could talk about it again too. I don't know if you saw it, JT, the Justin Fields game for Pittsburgh.
No.
They had one drive, I think, that was over 40 yards on scoring. They scored 6 drives with field goals and things like that, and one drive was over 40 yards. They had as many drives that were negative plays and kicked field goals and got points. Justin Fields had a rushing touchdown that was a result of a very bad personal foul call against the other team, where it would have been a pick for Justin Fields. Instead of a pick, it turned into, I think he got like 11 points in the drive, so it was like a 13-point fantasy swing for him. Fantasy-wise, I'm like, this is not going to last. It cannot last. And that was the Raiders they were playing. I'm like,
Hmm.
if you roster Justin Fields, I'm like, that was a horrible game, and that I don't know what he's even rostered anymore. But I'm just like,
Fields 56%.
oh man, I see in ESPN 72.
Okay.
I just it needs to be much less because that game was so ugly. That it was so ugly for him. 50% completion, 140 yards. I mean, the two rushing touchdowns for 60 yards saved his day. And like I said, shouldn't have even been there. Like they weren't even like. So I just think that was like that was rough to watch. But so I'm selling Justin Fields. I like a poor man's Drake. I mean, Drake May is like a poor man's Justin Fields. And so I'm like you're saying, if someone rosters him, like why not just roster Drake May if that's what it's going to be? If you hope to get lucky on a rushing touchdown, Drake May could do that. I think they'll let him.
Yeah.
They'll let him do that too.
Come on. You want Drake May at week 7 versus Jacksonville, or do you want Justin Fields versus the Jets defense? Week
Yes, I
7.
don't know if he's running for two
You
rushing
know?
touchdowns against
You
that
want
team.
Deshaun Watson, or you want some
Oh,
Drake May? Come
how
on.
I saw a stat that said um, it was basically based off like 3-and-out drives and everything like that. Deshaun Watson is the second worst quarterback in recorded history through like 2000, I believe. And, oh no, he's the fifth worst, and the bottom is like Jamarcus Russell. He's down there in that territory. That's how bad. Like, if you are rostering Deshaun Watson at this point, can I be in your fantasy league? I don't know who does. Like, it is like I'd rather have played. Let's see, Bryce Young this week. It's that bad. He should not be starting. Period. So, that's Deshaun Watson. I can't believe people still roster that guy. But somebody got to pick up less than 80% league rostered, but it's got to be Kirko, right? I feel like he had kind of a rough week, just in terms of like they just didn't do a ton. 230 and a touchdown, so
Is
it
that
looked
his
kind of rough.
nickname?
Big Kirko, yeah, that was
Big
what he had in
Kirko?
Minnesota. Kirko, I
Is
feel
that
like
like a reference to he looks like he could be like a Cutco salesman?
I see. I don't know how they got it. It was just where they put all the chains in the airplane.
Hmm.
Kirko playing Seattle's defense has been getting torched, followed by
Yeah.
Tampa Bay is getting torched, followed by Dallas is getting torched, followed by the Saints is getting torched. I mean, do I need to say more?
Right.
I like Seattle's defense. They gave up like a bajillion points to the Giants. Tampa Bay just gave up 30 to a rookie guy. Dallas gave up 50 on Sunday, and the Saints was the other half of the Tampa Bay game. They gave up 50. So 3 of these 4 teams almost gave up almost. Seahawks gave up like 30 something. Almost gave up 40. The other 2 gave up 40 plus. Kirko's the guy. Kirko's gonna be the guy for the next 4 weeks. I'm just letting you know. I'm all about that. Caleb
Yeah.
Williams quite the opposite. Or I guess Washington, Arizona, but then it becomes like he has the toughest strength of schedule. Technically after the bye week, toughest strength of schedule. There's a couple matchups here and there, but overall it grades out to the hardest remaining schedule. So
For Caleb Williams?
yes, or 31st, because I think it was technically 31st. Yeah, strength of schedule. Defenses.
Really?
Yeah. He's got Minnesota twice. Green Bay's been pretty good on defense twice. He's got San Francisco. He's got New England. Yeah. Basically plays in a division. The South, NFC South, or the NFC North has been the best division maybe since realignment, where all the biggest point differentials, top 4 point differentials, all in one division. And so clearly their defenses are playing well if you have the biggest point differential. And so defense, all four defenses, and he has to play he hasn't played any division games yet. So he's got 6 of those defenses left, plus San Francisco, plus New England. So eight like top 10 defense games left. So yeah, it's gonna be rough for Caleb Williams. Maybe there'll be improvement, but I think like everyone's like, this is Caleb Williams now. I'm like, he's gonna run the buzzsaw a little bit after he gets Washington, at least thankfully after the bye. But I think it's a little tougher. Is there anybody that's catching your eye a little bit? Like, let's do this as at quarterback.
Oh,
I mean, you're
man.
a little spicy on Drake May, which I like.
Yeah. I mean, like, Sam Darnold had a bye this week, had a poor showing against the Jets, but otherwise, man, he'd been playing well. He gets next 4 weeks, he gets Detroit, the Rams, the Colts, and then Jacksonville. So it's like that seems like a pretty sweet next 4 weeks. coming out of the bye. And it's always nice thrown to Jefferson and Addison. But
Could do.
otherwise, I mean, a healthy Herbert always intrigues me. It's just that offense is just not. I don't know. It's just I don't think it's worth chasing for as much as they run and just like they're 12 personnel and all of that stuff. But I didn't really.
They just don't have any weapons. They have
Yeah.
no receivers, and it's very obvious. I think they would throw more if they had guys that could catch a pass, pretty much.
Hmm.
I think that's what it comes down to. Justin Herbert's still Justin Herbert, but at a certain point, you got to have NFL bodies, and I don't think they have NFL bodies. They have one, McConkey. I think that's it, and it's a slot guy. I mean, what are you gonna do with one slot? And your best tight end's like Will Disley. They just have nobody to catch a pass. Like just
Right.
no running backs, no tight ends, no receivers that are going to catch a pass, and it's a miracle he's putting up 200 yards. Like, to be honest, like it's just it might be the worst set of pass catchers in the NFL, and it's just they're 3-2 because Justin Herbert makes what he can work with what he can, and it's just it's kind of impressive actually. Yeah, Justin Herbert, man, gosh. Get some guys for it. I can't believe they're doing that to him. But I get you got to reset. You got to hit the reset. I get it.
Yeah. Hopefully, it's just a 1 year.
Yeah, and then you can load up because that O line looks pretty good. But
Yeah.
they fixed that. And that was good. I keep an eye on in the next couple weeks Matthew Stafford, because speaking of weapons coming back, I hear the two guys he cannot have the option to throw the football to can play football. I don't know if you've heard of those two gentlemen. They both played in the Northwest, both played in Washington, turns out, the state of Washington. So Cooper Kupp and Puka. So if those guys come back, the O-line's still never going to be great, but they make up for a lot if you get both those guys. So I think they have their bye week next week, and then they play Vegas. Sign me up. Keep an eye on it. If they play, sign me up, because they got a whole nother week to get healthy. But I'd put a pin in Matthew Stafford if you're gonna have bye weeks coming up here soon. So and once he gets cleared this bye week, he then plays, I think, Seattle. Awesome. Miami, awesome. So I think there's definitely some matchups to take advantage of during bye weeks and stuff. So Tua as well. We talked about Tua coming back from IR.
Right.
Hopefully, because they have a bye week. Hopefully, maybe they play with Indy or Arizona. I think that's an option. Yeah. Other than that, who am I cutting? Are you cutting anybody that you're like, we're done? So I'm done with Aaron Rodgers. 53 rostered, toast. Kind of done with Trevor Lawrence. You done with Trevor Lawrence? I mean, I if you had a roster, I mean, he's sitting at 32% roster on ESPN. Is that kind of like where he belongs? Like 32%?
I think it's appropriate because my pause was like, there's a floor there. Like,
Yeah.
and boom, he's at least had double-digit fantasy points each week. I know, whoop-de-doo, but with a high of 22. But I mean, I feel like you could. I don't think I would. I think but maybe a third. I think it's just either a streamer or the 2 QB leagues or something. But
your second QB or
he
something
passes just enough. He rushes just enough. Like, I feel like he gets the flow bump.
I mean, I'm like picking up Andy Dalton 6% rostered. I'm Andy Dalton over over Trevor Lawrence at this point. He's
in terms of quarterback play or flow.
Oh, it's hard to beat the flow, but it's a very different flow. Very different flow.
Well, one's a ginger, so
respect the ginger flow. I get it.
Thanks.
Yeah, but like he had one hiccup against the Bears where he had 4 points, but other than that, he's outproduced Trevor Lawrence just straight up. So I'm like, hey, he dropped 17 this week to what did Trevor Lawrence put up? 8. Oh, I guess 18. I mean, yeah, I still rock with him more because it's been 25, 18, 4 again, and then 17. So I just feel like Andy Dalton, like, which is crazy to say, a Carolina Panthers quarterback, but I just feel a little more safe with it than Trevor Lawrence. So I don't know.
Out of the, so I'm looking at the two because Dalton says 10% roster here in Yahoo, and then I'm thinking floor. It's like Daniel Jones kind of stands out at 21% roster. I'm like, I would think Daniel Jones would be more valuable out of all of them, but they all have the similar script. They're gonna need to be probably thrown a lot, gonna be losing, trying to come from behind, keep the game interesting, and then
You would
Daniel
think,
Jones just
JT,
rushes a ton.
you would think, as someone who rostered Daniel Jones and needed anything, and he got me 12. You talk about he gets you double digits. I was like, well, JT, even Daniel Jones gets you double digits every week. Wrong. He did not. Like, he has not got double digits every week. So I think that's the issue with Daniel Jones is it's never like he's got 1 week above 20.
Yeah,
And it was against the
Daniel
Seahawks. Like
Week 6, Daniel Jones almost rushed more attempts than had fantasy points. That's
that's what
tough.
I'm saying.
That's
Like
tough
I'm
to
just like,
do.
how do you rush for 56 yards and get 12 fantasy points? Like as a quarterback, how do you do that? You're gonna have to, and you play for the Giants. You're gonna be down.
Put
How did
it
you
put it
rush
this
for
way:
56 yards and
how
not?
did you rush for 56 yards and throw the ball 41 times and have less than 13 fantasy points?
And that's what I'm saying.
Like,
Like the game script was in your favor the entire game. Like you need to throw the ball, or it's close. I'm like, so you're running it. You have a backup running back in the game. Your O line's already hurt, so you better throw it. You have some nice weapons there, and you still put up like. That's what I'm just like, what happened, Daniel Jones? So when you said Daniel Jones, I'm like, I am so off the Daniel Jones bandwagon. Like uh, shout out my coworker Kyle. I messaged him this morning. I don't think I was playing him in our work league, but I was just like, I had to play Daniel Jones. And he's just like, we're in a group chat for work, and he threw his Daniel Jones jersey in the trash like after we
Jeez.
run. So I was just like, I get it, Kyle, I get it. Oh my god.
Yeah, just wait. Just wait. You're going to be eating your words when Neighbors comes back. Gonna
I would
be
love to, but
wanting Daniel Jones.
JT Neighbors was there in week 1, and he had 6 points.
Just it's about rapport and
Neighbors went
the
off against
season
Cleveland. Neighbors
ahead.
went off against Cleveland, and he still didn't get 20 fantasy points. Eight carries, still didn't get 20 fantasy points. And like Neighbors had 2 touchdowns. That was the only 2 touchdowns he threw. I'm just like, how? I just don't get. I look at him like it's one of those. Sean Alexander was the opposite. I'd always look and be like, man, Sean Alexander didn't do a whole lot. And like during the Seahawks run with Mike Holmgren, I'd be like, man, 140 yards and 2 touchdowns. I'm like, holy crap. Or you look up, you're like 180 and 3. Like I'm like, man, Sean Alexander kills it. Daniel Jones is the opposite. You're like, man, this guy must have got me a lot of fantasy points. He got me 13. Like we're talking about the league neighbors. We're Robinson. We're talking about Slayton, who I just picked up, who just had like 60 yards, or like 11 targets, and I'm like, how did you have all these throws? You ran for 50 yards, and you're getting like 10.5 points, 12.8. Like where did the points go? Like you have all these targets, all these guys are getting all these yards, but you don't have it. Like I don't know. It's like a weird. We're in a simulation. We have to be at this point. I don't know. I don't know where they all are. Yeah, that's it from that. I like pickups, I guess, for at least for quarterbacks. I don't. You got me angry with Daniel Jones. Way to go.
Sorry, let's move on. We'll move on to a different
let's do running
position.
back. Let's do running
Okay.
backs. I wanted to talk about this because it was a targets. Tyrone Tracy Jr. Giants. I have rostered Devin Singletary, and it is not going well. Same running back, same offense. Tyrone comes in, killed it the last 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know why people do this, and I get it. It's only 2 weeks. Blah 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 blah. I guess he didn't kill it. He had like average 3 yards a carry, but he did have a decent day catching the ball. How do you just go back to Devin Singletary? I just don't get it. So I think Tyrone's gonna get more of a chunk, which actually sucks for me because I rostered them both. I handicap myself, but now none of them are gonna get like the majority carries. So I'm like, ugh,
Right.
like I hope which one do I guess score the touchdown? You know what I mean? But like,
Yeah.
I feel like he needs to be rostered in more leagues. I think by the end of the year, because Devin might not still play. I think Tyrone has shown he's like Tyrone. He's probably an NFL running back here. So I think that's the guy I would. That's the guy I'm picking up.
Yeah, I agree.
Is there anybody you're looking at here that you're like?
I want to know who the heck Sean Tucker is, and what's going on. because dang, that's quite the fantasy game.
For a guy coming into the week of 1% rostered. And that went up because it was up by 0.9.
Right?
So, yeah, he had 7 yards going into in this game, and then averaged 10 a pop for 32 fantasy points.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
So, Coach Todd Bowles quotes are saying, "quote definitely worth him making it a 3-headed monster. He took advantage of his opportunities."
Well, I mean, the only issue is Bucky, the other running back who actually got a lot of touches too, 6 yards a pop. Like,
Mm-hmm.
they both were very efficient. Again, they scored 50 points. They scored 51 points. I feel like, and then they're going to come in and I can't remember who the starter is. White there.
Yeah.
You're going to come back, and I'm like, now you've kind of diluted all three of them. It's all that's managed to happen. And you're like, oh no. But yeah, Sean Tucker, again, just let these guys, let him get a run again. Let's see what he could do in a full starting role again. Because, yeah, that was impressive. That was impressive. Chuba Hubbard. Oh, he's 91% rostered. Never mind. We're not talking about him. Ray Davis, Buffalo, 10% rostered. Started for James Cook, 5 yards a pop, 33 receiving yards. 17 fantasy points, no touchdowns. So it was all yards. Looked pretty good running a route too. So definitely, if Cooks can't go again, Ray Davis looked very, very good. Against the Jets too. Like, that's something else to be said. 5 yards a pop against the Jets. And there was some holes there. So I feel like, and it lowered his average too because they had like 3 or 4 like goal line carries where like he'd get like 3 yards and then like get tackled or something like that on the one because they had a bunch of bodies in there. So like he was getting good chunks. I felt for all. I didn't see every snap, but like it looked like he was getting good chunks every time he touched the ball. So I was really impressed with him. I feel like he's going to get more of a look. So
tell me what you saw out of I don't even know how to pronounce it. Isaac Guerendo, San Francisco running back, because I didn't get to see the Seahawks game, and I know
it was all one carry at the end.
was it just one big
Like,
carry?
it was like 70 yards at the very end of the game. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
he fell down inside in the field of play. Did he score on like they scored a rushing touchdown later, or they scored a touchdown? I don't remember who scored it. He might have got a touchdown based off that,
I
but
think
now it's
Juszczyk did.
oh yeah, Juszczyk. It's no, he's clearly the fourth, but they were so far down the depth chart at that point. And once guys start coming back, yeah, I just think he's the fourth. And if he comes up and plays, any running back that plays that offense, I mean, any running back that really is running the ball anyways, a starter. But any running back in a Kyle Shanahan offense is like you spend 70% of your fat, and I'm not kidding, because he's going to make you a jump. Like, that's what it's.
Well, Jordan Mason is questionable AC joint sprain.
Yeah, it's going to become like if you told me he was out for like goes on IR, I'm literally would spend 70% of my fab on him because that's how much I believe in Kyle Shanahan. But that plus, I mean, we haven't really heard a McCaffrey update, but I just feel like anybody comes back and he's toast. So
Hey, we know how it's going to end, Sean. We've all seen Brad Pitt and in the movie Troy, and he's Achilles, and we know what happens to Achilles. Okay, so like Christian McCaffrey to the NFL is Brad Pitt to the movie world, Hollywood.
Are you saying he's toast? Are you saying those Achilles are toast?
I'm just saying, be careful of those Achilles. Once you're on top, there's no way to go but down.
That's true. That's true. That's true. I just think that I think Madison will be well enough to play. And I think that it's just going to be time for McCaffrey. I think McCaffrey's going to be back in a couple weeks anyways. So, unfortunately for, I can't remember his name now, but yeah, I think that's how it works. Anybody else that you're dropping? All Vegas running backs is your white. We're done. Samaje Perine, Kansas City. Clearly, they're just calling up dudes. Kareem Hunt to take his job.
Mm-hmm.
There's just nothing there. That ship sailed. You talked about it. Tampa Bay guys, Rashid White. You better get back real fast because the two dudes who took your job started just tearing it up. Miles Sanders. You still roster him. Get rid of him. He lost his job to Chuba. Anybody else that you're like, we're done?
Are you? I don't know about done. I just came across the name and I noticed the stat line. Bijan Robinson. If you have him in your league, are you worried he's gonna start like losing some carries to who is it? Tyler
Algier.
Yeah.
I actually really like Tyler Algier, the fantasy or the nerds. He was really efficient his rookie year. It was the same rookie year that Kenneth Walker came out, and Tyler Algier was much better actually rookie running back. So I was like, why did they draft Bijan Robinson? They kind of had like a poor man's Bijan Robinson and Tyler.
Yeah.
So I've always been on the Tyler is better than people think bandwagon. So do I think maybe like the Atlanta Falcons think that? Maybe not, but I think that's because they're misguided because I think Tyler Algier is good. So I think if he does, I wouldn't be shocked, but I think it's hard to separate my bias. I guess, what do you think, JT? Do you think Tyler takes carries from him? Like, I know he was stealing a couple by the end of the games.
Right, that's the thing. It's like, when will the game script swing that way? But like, he technically had 18 carries to Bijan's 15.
And he averaged 6 yards a carry. Like, it wasn't like he was just bad.
Yeah.
He was like,
and I know it's like Carolina game, but like, and that's probably well in hand, but like, I don't know. Like, I feel like he hasn't.
I mean,
if you disregard week 1, he's had at least 6 carries a game in the last 4 weeks,
and it wasn't like
and then all of a sudden,
well in hand either. Like, it was
True.
in the third quarter. It was still. I mean, until Tyler Algier's touchdown run with 5 minutes left in the game, it was a 1-score game. Like, he was in the game on a 1-score game drive.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, the game was very much still in play. So, yeah, you're right. Like, it was not garbage time. It was like still like this is a game, and Tyler Algier was getting the carries.
Something to be said. I like it'd be pretty savvy handcuff. Let's maybe minimum.
It is. That's a nice play. That's a nice play.
30% rostered for Tyler.
That is a nice play. Let's go wideouts. Wideouts. The
7.
The movie watch, the concert going divas, as someone called them early on one of the pre-games or post-games. Let's see. I think my brother's a big Josh Downs guy. Shout out Matt.
He's down with Downs.
Down with Downs.
Josh Downs.
My fantasy team last year was in fantasy baseball was Jeter. Are you Downs for Jeter Downs?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. He didn't do well in the majors, or he got called up that year, but
not at all.
Just classic name. Baby, are you Downs? Good name. Anyone on fantasy, you can steal it. It's good.
Where's he at now? Because he was with the Sox, but then didn't he get traded to the Yankees?
Did he get traded in that? I don't.
Jeter down. I don't even know if he's
still with the Red Sox. My gut tells me the Red Sox still.
I don't think he's in Major League Baseball anymore.
Ooh,
MPB. He is in Japan.
Really?
Wow. How the mighty have fallen. Like, dude,
he's only 26. No one is like.
He made his MLB debut in 2022, and 2 years later, he's in Japan.
That is just, how is no one giving him a shot? You know what I mean? Like, how is no one giving him a shot? Wow.
I feel like you're starting to see that a little bit more here and there. Not to this quality of prospect, but like,
I was going to say,
those like future value, 40s, 45s, like there's a little bit more like better steady money to be made overseas.
Yeah, he was
kind of weird.
He's America's number 2 Reds prospect in 2021 season.
But yeah, not for this quality of
one of the top prospects in baseball.
Yeah,
cut in December 2023, and it goes to sign in.
Oh, he went Red Sox, Nationals, then Yankees.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Signed, claimed off waivers. Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Anyway, back to football.
Rabbit hole there, but Josh Downs. You can steal the name. But I don't know. I just feel like a lot of these like targets games are coming with Flacco in, and you just talked about it. I think I need to see it before. What is he rostered here? 50%, just fine. But I just feel like I want to see what he does with the quarterback who's actually going to play a majority of the games, because the report isn't as was there as it was with Flacco. I don't know. I don't know.
I,
I'm a little nervous.
I'm on the fence, but I lean towards picking them up because, gosh, was it like Wednesday last week? They were like Pittman IR back, and it was like really, and then all of a sudden
He
he
played.
plays, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
wow, what kind of information are we just throwing around willy
Yeah.
nilly out
Yeah.
there?
Yep.
Um, but if that's the case, like one good hit and Pittman is on the IR
Yeah.
because like back, that's tough to, you know,
Yeah. No,
heal. I would
that's true.
think.
Yep.
Um, and yeah, I guess I'm not. He's maybe a little bit more valuable because Flacco's just gonna probably more throw to get out of stress or pressure than Richardson would be. But I don't know. It'd be a speculative add and stash on the bench, and then maybe depending on bye weeks. But yeah, I could see rolling the dice on it if you've got like an extra roster spot kind of
Yeah.
available to tinker with.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess you just talked me into it. I can see it. I'm more like I'd say like he should be 60% rostered, and yeah, you're right. I feel like he was nicked up in the beginning of the year too, so maybe that's where the report isn't coming from. He wasn't 100% healthy, and with the guy cleared in front of him being a moment's notice away from not playing, and it's gonna be
Hmm.
it feels like the whole thing's he's gonna be questionable all year. Pittman is, so he might not play half the games. So yeah, 50% rostered for the guy who clearly becomes like the number one there. I feel like
Yeah,
that's a big one. I will say Alan Lazard is 38% rostered, and I think he just needs to be rostered in like 60% of leagues. Like, I don't know if I buy it, but like, it's Aaron Rodgers' guy, and it's clearly his guy in like the red zone too. And
hmm
normally I don't mind that too much, but now he's got 5 touchdowns in 6 weeks, and I'm like, he just trusts him in the red zone. And if that's what it's gonna be, catch 7 balls, or 7 targets, 6 balls, 140, and a touchdown a day. I'm like, you know,
sign me up.
he's got. That's the thing though. He's gonna be like 24, 2, 13, 8, 11, 20. And I'm just like, I like a little more consistent. The 2 week kind of scares me, but if you told me instead of that 2, he got like a 11. I think instead of that 2, he got 11. I think his roster percentage would be like 60%. And I'm like, I'm willing to like forego that Tennessee game as like a random, just awful game, and I'll ignore it. And I'm like, his roster percentage should be much higher than it is currently. And so I'm just like, sign me up for some Alan Lazard on the cheap. Because a lot of these guys you see, like we talked about, like all the Packers players, 30% roster, but like none of them are the guy. So again, let's say
Yeah,
Romeo Dobbs does the same thing but no touchdowns. That's 50 yards on 3 catches. That's a nothing burger. You know what I mean? Like that's 6.5 fantasy points. Versus he caught 2 touchdowns out of the 3 catches.
right.
There you go. Like so, but I'm like, where he caught him was all the difference. So, and that they just got Watson back too. They're all of them are great if you need a bye week fill, because you never know you hope one of them just pops off, but that's all they're going to be, is just you hope one of them pops off.
They're like a box of chocolates.
Yep. They never know. That's why wasn't the Saints old receiving core called the box of chocolates? As I said it, I get it, but you know what I mean? Like, it's just like you never knew which one was going to pop off.
Yeah, but I think that applies to the Packers wide receivers because that's
Yeah.
how I look at them. I'm like, in fantasy, I would rather have Love on my team than any wide receiver. Whereas, look at the Jets, I'm like, sure, absolutely, I'd take Lazard and as the wide receiver too. Shoot, I mean, they just played Buffalo, and between Garrett Wilson and Lazard, they both had amazing games. But there's 20 plus targets to be shared between the two, any given game, roughly. I
Yeah.
mean, heck, Garrett Wilson had 23 targets by himself last week.
Yeah.
But
So Yeah, it's Jaron Reed right here too for the Packers. Like I feel just like there's like 4 guys for the Packers who get like 6 targets, 6 to 8, and it's just like like box. You just never know. You never know which one's gonna go, and it's just like he. I mean, he had like more targets, less yards, and a touchdown also saved it. So I'm just like I just I don't have any like rhyme or reason to know which one's gonna do it. I thought it was gonna be Watson coming into the season, and obviously through the suspensions and everything, it hasn't been. So we're just playing the Forrest Gump game. Just roll the dice, see which one hits the touchdown or 2 touchdowns. Like gosh, I just can't believe it. Like that game would look so much different if without the 2 touchdowns attached to his number, Dobbs's number. But
Right.
yeah, yeah, that is a bad nickname, JT. I didn't. Sorry out there for everybody. But I didn't mean it that way. But Forrest Gump style. Yeah, and I'm looking at other names here like DJ Turner, Vegas. I don't. Oh no, never mind. I thought it was a much higher percentage. It was 0.2. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. I was mislining up my thing. I was like, why is he in the 40s? Like, okay, what? Tim Patrick with the Lions. It makes me nervous. He's catching like JT. He's been targeted. And he's caught all but 2 of his targets all year, but it's like 2 or 3 targets. But he's getting like 50 yards. He's getting like 26 yards. A pop. No, it's 0.3. I talked myself out of it as we went. But man, like one injury, I feel like with that defense or that offense, and it's just like he's a good receiver, and he's like a third there or a fourth there. I just feel like he runs routes that like Ben Johnson likes to call and Jared Goff likes to throw. That's why Amon-Ra St. Brown is so good. He runs the routes that he likes to run, the routes that they like to call and throw. So, and I feel like I'm like Tim Patrick, even with what's the name the guy you roster, Williams?
For Detroit?
Yeah,
Yeah, Jameson
yeah.
Williams.
I don't think he fits as well. I mean, he's just so athletic and good at that. But I think those 2 guys really fit like the style of receiver that fits in that offense very well. And so, I'm like, if Jameson will, injury history a little bit too, gambling issue a little bit. But like anything happens, I feel like Tim Patrick's really going to blow up. And I get it's 0.3% rostered, so I'm not saying do that, but I'm like, it does
So
not.
you're saying
like
you're
dark
willing to
horse.
roll the dice on him?
I say put him on a watch list because like if something happens, it's going to be an immediate like he just needs to get a little bit more targets. Obviously, he's not going to average 23, but I think he like averaging like crazy numbers per target because he runs those crossers and everything like that, and those digs like Jared Goff written all over it. It's what he likes to run and it's what he likes to throw, and I'm like, it's a match made in heaven. Once they get on the field together, it's so nice, and he's healthy. That's been the biggest issue. Is he's healthy. He's a guy who had bad luck. He had the Achilles and he had the ACL back-to-back years in Denver and just could never get on the field. And he's on the field and he's looking pretty good. So and he's starting to get more and more playing time. So I'm just like, Tim. Is there anybody that you're just like, I see anyway you're done on Dattavian Wicks of the Packers? Again, I don't know. Everyone's like, yeah, he got 3 targets. He only got 1. He got 7 and 13 the 2 weeks prior. I just think people are so reactionary to this. They should all be rostered like between 30 and 40%, and you just hope you pick the week that he gets a touchdown. 2 weeks ago, he had 22 fantasy points. It's just what it is. It's the Saints 2.0. That's all it is. They're all like equally talented, and none of them are a superstar. They have a good, yeah.
It's true. Yeah.
So I just saw he was like a number 2 drop player. I was like, why? 30% roster. It's just you didn't get his week. It wasn't his week, so it's fine. So, man, Jerry Jeudy 52% rostered. I don't roster. Mari Cooper, you still roster him, but I don't even know what did he do this week. What did Mari Cooper do?
Nothing
I just feel like that
special.
offense is so inept that like I'm just like, do I even play Amari Cooper anymore? Yeah, I don't.
No, you don't start him.
Amari Cooper since Amari Cooper's only had 1 week of over 10, and I'm just like, It's not an
Yeah.
Amari Cooper problem. It's like you just can't start him because that offense and Deshaun Watson in particular is just
Yeah.
not an NFL quarterback.
I think, and I have Cooper in a couple leagues, and he's just sitting on the bench. And the only reason he's still on the bench and not on waivers is because a trade deadline has not passed yet, and maybe they come to their senses, and
Like
and
Jameis Winston.
yeah, we see Winston in there. Like that would be an upgrade at this
They doubled
point.
down this week. They said he's still gonna be a starter. And I was like, does the owner have like the gun to someone's head? like this team should be so much better with Jerry Jeudy and Amari Cooper, right? You think? But how are
Well,
you just letting it go to waste? You traded for Jerry Jeudy and Amari Cooper a couple years ago and signed him. Like,
how are you 0 for what was it? 0 for 29 on your last, third
that did get
downs?
corrected.
Oh,
That
okay.
Baldwin did find one. I like he's nitpicking. He's like, we found a 3-and-1 they converted, and he goes, they are then 0 for 28. Or he's like, other than that,
Oh,
they're like, or it's like in the middle. It's like they got 0 for 9, got it, then like 0 for 18 or whatever it is after that. They're like,
okay.
it's in the
So
middle, but still, it's
one
like
for
it ruins
29.
the nice streak, but like it's a 1-yard third down run they got. You know what I mean? Like he's like whoop de doo. It doesn't
On the
really
last,
negate the
so
original stat. Yeah,
you could rephrase it. On the last 29 third downs, they have converted one first down, and it was on a 1 yard
it was a
play.
1-yard play. Yeah, so it's not good either way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So an offense that inept has to be Winston, and I don't get it. So, and like you said, Amari Cooper, like there's teams now that need like the Chiefs really really need a wide receiver weapon, and I'm just saying Amari Cooper's like right there. He's like
Mm-hmm.
so. There's a couple teams who need a guy, and there's a Devontae Adams and Amari Cooper people who roster those two. I'd hold out because I feel like trades are coming. So trades are coming. Buffalo too. Buffalo needs a receiver like a dude. Just saying. You put Amari Cooper on the Bills.
You think Buffalo would trade for one though?
I think they would. I think
Hmm.
they need one more guy. Or like a guy who's like a guy, because rookie deal quarterbacks kind of like because Love is still technically on the rookie amount. Those guys like those Josh Allen's and Mahomes, they're eating up a good chunk of the salary cap now. It shows in the receiver talent that they usually have that they have to kind of like cut the big name wide receiver, but I feel like trading for them is just going to come back in vogue again. They're going to need some help, and trading for Amari Cooper makes a lot of sense for both those teams. So I think Amari Cooper also is easily more tradable than Devontae Adams. So I think he's going to be the one to hold on to. Tight ends. Let's do it. Did Isaiah likely do something this week? I thought I saw him get a couple passes. No. Dang, man, there's just. I want to talk about a couple people, but they're all like 96% rostered.
It's all or nothing.
It
It
really,
is,
really is. There's like.
Cole Kmet, 67% in Yahoo. That needs to be above 90. Like he's an integral part of the Chicago offense. He's the third most scoring tight end in fantasy football. Like that's just how it goes.
Yeah, that
It's,
is the one. You're right. 54%
I
roster.
mean,
Yeah.
tough getting him now coming off a 2 touchdown game, but like week in, week out, he's usually got a handful of catches and 30-ish 40 yards. He's had 2 big games, but otherwise like that's just kind of what the landscape is. He's going to the bye week, so maybe you still could snag him, but I doubt you're rolling with 2 tight ends, so you
Yeah.
might not be able to snag him going into the bye.
No, he even he got 57, almost 60 yards in a week. He didn't even score touchdowns. So I feel like if that's kind of your floor, I mean, it's been trending that direction as obviously the Bears have been trending that direction. I feel like that's a nice pickup. I'm looking at like Pat Freiermuth. No, anyone that's not like you said Evan Ingram. I just feel like his targets. He's 77% rostered, still pretty high, but he needs to be in the 80s. He needs to be in the 80s with how much he's going to probably get targeted there. Not 10 targets a game, but like needs to be more.
Well, he had the most pass catches as a tight end last year. I mean,
Yep.
he's
Yep.
definitely a part of that offense.
Like my example is like that. Like 10 targets a game. He's gonna be part of the offense for sure. 70% rostered. Kyle Pitts 92% rostered. I don't care where Kyle Pitts was drafted in real life. Why is he so much like what are we doing? What are we doing? I mean, if you count the point one, he's had okay technically 2 weeks above 10 points. Other than that, he's had one. Week one was 10.1. But then other than that, he's had 1 week of fantasy. He's had more same number of weeks since then with 0 catches,
Hmm.
0 points as weeks over 10. I'm just like, there's nothing there. He's gonna get you like maybe 7 points on average, and he could get you even less. Maybe probably closer to 6 on the dot, 6. And I'm like, I'm just gonna roll, and that's 90% roster, and you probably drafted him really high. Just roster Evan Ingram at this point. You know what I mean? If you want to sit Kyle Pitts on your bench because you think at some point him and Kurt will figure it out, I mean, I guess you could talk yourself into that. But I'm just like, I'm rolling with an Evan Ingram or definitely a Cole Kmet right now.
He's not needed. I mean, we've gone
Yep.
over it before. The amount of plays, snaps that they run three wide receivers out there is like 90% of the time. Like,
And they throw
so
it to him
you've
receivers.
yeah, so it's just like he will be a complete like fluke of a big week. It's
Yep.
to me on this same kind of thought on Kyle Pitts. Let me find it. I just had him. It's Schultz. What's he? 70%? He's on an offensive minded team. They score points in Houston, but typically he's not a part of it. He's not a part of their red zone thought. He's not a part of like moving the chains, possession, first down. He's just there. He's
Yep.
out there on a lot of snaps. He got the most targets out of this last week. He turned 8 targets into 4 catches, 27 yards. And honestly, that's literally he's been the most consistent tight end at
Yep.
sucking. Like it's I have
Yeah.
Schultz out there as a backup tight end because I think I have a bye week coming up, and I'm just like, well, maybe he'll just fluke into a touchdown. Like
Yep. Yep.
it's not worth the 70%. I'd rather go somewhere else with it. But it honestly, like it's a wasteland. It's really tough this year. I feel like more than ever.
Yeah. No, it feels like the haves and the have nots, like for sure. So it's that's why we kind of skip it every year. It's just like, look, what do you want us to tell you? And I mean, what do you want us to tell? Like, I mean, Mark Andrews finally got his touchdown,
Yeah,
again,
Mark Andrews finally had his week.
but again, he only had 66 yards. They went
Hmm.
off, and he only had 66 yards. He has more weeks of 0. He has 2 weeks where he got 0, not a single yard.
Yeah,
You said it's a wasteland. It is absolutely a wasteland. The guy you thought was for sure, it's just nothing.
let's put it into perspective. Isaiah Likely has fifth most fantasy points for tight end on the season, and that consists of so there's 6 weeks of play, right? That consists of 4 weeks under 4 fantasy points
Yeah.
each of
Yep.
those weeks,
Yep.
and then two
His
weeks of 14 and 21. Like,
He has 1 week over 27 receiving yards. One. That's it. That's it. Like, so you're saying that the 14 week he had 13 yards on 3 catches, 2 for touchdowns. We talked about it with Dobbs. You minus those 2 where he caught those passes. That's nothing. That is a nothing day, and he happened to go 2 for 3 with touchdowns. So yeah, you it's more than ever. If you have one of those top 6 guys, I feel it's top 6. Even then, you could argue Dalton Kincaid's not even there, but he's just on that team. But it's really like the Brock Bowers, Sam Laporta, Trey McBride, Travis Kelsey. Not even really Travis Kelsey, but I feel like they're going to start forcing him because they don't have many more options. So I feel like Travis Kelsey will be back. George Kittle's been like good again. But other than these kind of guys, you could argue maybe a couple more guys in there. I'll argue Evan Ingram should be in there pretty soon. But other than that, it is just like you hope a guy catches. We joked it's 6 guys and you hope someone catches a touchdown. It really is that point at this point.
yeah,
There's just no
I don't
yards.
even.
There's no
I
yards.
mean, based on this year so far, Sam Laporta isn't deserving of the conversation. I mean, based on what he did last year, yes, but I don't know. It's kind of a little bit of a different offense, but still kind of the same this year. It's just the pass catcher is who we talked about, Williams instead of Laporta, but like
Yeah.
he's just
Yeah.
he's not a part of it. Again, that's another high scoring offense. He's got put up 47, and before the bye week put up 42, and in total, the last 2 games he's played, he's got 5 catches for 105 yards and a touchdown. Like those are collectively, that's 2 good weeks, but on the whole, it's just an offense that isn't leaning on him yet, but he still needs to be rostered. It's tough.
Okay, JT. How many tight ends in 6 weeks are averaging 50 yards a game?
3?
2. And one is
2?
by 1 yard.
Oh, okay. Because
So,
I would
yeah,
have said,
literally 1 yard enough over that.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
So
Oh, 2. It's Bauer. I would have guessed Bowers and Kittle, but
it's
I don't think
Bowers and
Kittle.
Goddard.
Oh, Goddard's in there. Okay.
He's the one by 1 yard.
For the yards. Okay.
Yeah. Kittle's at 47 a game. And now I know he's missed a game, but I'm like, my stance is when someone's like, you missed a game, you can't. I go, I did not play fantasy that week. I need you to still play fantasy. If I draft you, I want you to play. You know what I mean? Like, I
Right.
didn't just sit out that week. It still affects me. So I still count it as your per game because I need you to play. You don't play for 6 weeks. It still sucks. I then have to find somebody. I then have to go into this wasteland and try to find somebody. Like, we
Mm-hmm.
talked about how bad Kyle Pitts has been. He has the 6th most yards at a tight end. That's just how much of a wasteland it is. It is like you are gonna get points if you just score touchdowns, and that's really like that's it. That's it. Kyle
I
Pitts.
think by the end of the year, Bowers is just going to be in his own tier in terms of the production.
Yeah.
Like in terms of the year he started with, and the remaining.
I feel like Trey McBride will give him a run for the Arizona. I feel like
Right.
he will catch. He's missed a game, and so again we count it. But I feel like per game per targets. I mean, he has never had less than 6 targets a game. He's never had more than 10. But what, you're gonna average 7 to 8 targets a game as a tight end? Absolutely. That's gonna get you top 1 or 2 at this rate. So yeah, and he still hasn't even scored a touchdown, and he's still what is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's 6th most valuable fantasy tight end. He has 0 touchdowns. There you go.
That's a really good point, because on the flip side, George Kittle is really, like, he's been having good games, but
He's got 5.
He's had 5 touchdowns.
Yeah.
I mean, he's had minimum of 40 yards a game. That's very good. He's very involved. And then on top of that, all those red zone, all those touchdowns. I feel like, I feel like maybe when the dust settles, those would be the top 3. Those are the 3 I would count on the most.
I mean, George Kittle has like over the 7th person, he's a 30 point lead already, or over Dallas Goedert. He has 30 more points than him on the season already. So he's already locked in a top 5 spot already this year, I think. How many times are we going to get to 72 points? Like we're 16, we're on pace for 12 games. Dallas Goedert's going to catch him by like week 11 at this rate if Kittle doesn't play another snap. like that's ridiculous. That is ridiculous.
Let me look it up. Tight end season total last year, Laporta had 196, Ingram had the 173, and Kelsey 172, Hawkinson 171, Kittle 170, and then it kind of drops off from there. So, I mean, in terms of just average production, Kittle's already like halfway to a really good season.
Yeah, those 5 touchdowns, that'll you get 5 touchdowns like a season. That's pretty good. That's nice. Let's do some defenses. Let me see here. Let me see who they play. Who do teams play? Okay, so we just saw week. So let's see here. Defenses. Trying to look. Who do I want? Who is a bad offense? See, this Denver Saints play Denver, but I'm not sure not sure I want to go that route. Steelers, you got to start no matter what. Jets offense looks better when they demoted Nathaniel Hackett today,
Mm-hmm.
and there's just not. It's like Cincinnati, not a good defense. The Browns, nope. Yeah, is it just like Bills defense? But again, the Bills defense, aren't they rostered? Oh, 40% rostered. So maybe the Bills defense against Tennessee. I think that's a good pickup.
Yeah, I
That's
could go with Cincinnati against Cleveland at least.
yeah. Oh
Cincinnati's
yeah, yeah.
defense.
I honestly I could go if Cincinnati continues to get healthy. Yeah, but the Cleveland, it's more of like the Cleveland defense is so good that like if they play to their potential, like they could beat anybody. You know what I mean? Or they could. You could tell me like they could get a defensive touchdown, or Miles just goes off for like 2 sacks or something like that and a fumble. Like yeah, and that's points right there. Boom. That like they could get points in a hurry. But yeah, you're right. The Bengals against Cleveland, Eagles against the Giants. Anybody playing the Giants right now? Again, almost 80% roster, but still, I would say the Commanders, but because they play the Panthers, but the Commanders are so bad. So it's really kind of like the Patriots against the Jags. Are we there yet? I like the Patriots defense. They're talented. Fantasy wise, though, are they gonna be able to do anything? I think so. I think that's about it, though. I think that's about it. It's kind of a rough week for.
Yeah, there's nothing. But I mean, you only really got to cover Chicago's defense, I would think. So there's just going to be one team for each league out there. Like, oh, I got
Minnesota
Chicago on the bye.
rostered. So
Are they on the bye as well? Or
yeah.
oh, okay, I missed that.
I was gonna say Minnesota has the 1 and 3. Wait, the Bears on a bye. The Bears they just on a bye.
Minnesota was just on a bye.
They were just
for week 7.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Looking forward, I just see Chicago is the only one because I mean, at this point, Dallas would have been rostered a lot in the season, but like other than that first week, they've scored negative twice.
Dolphins and Rams are at the bottom. Yeah, they're
so.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, it's a bunch of bad defenses, and unfortunately, it's like the games where you feel like they're playing each other. You're like, oh, that team could take advantage of the bad Cincinnati defense. Oh my gosh, it's a bad offense. Like I feel like that's like 3 of the times this week. You're like, here we go. Nope, not happening. Like you scroll over, you're like,
yeah. Kind of interesting looking like how long we've been recording right now, and last week was a pretty short one because I just felt like it was just more I don't know, just more expanded out, like more top heavy, a lot more concise, clear adds drops. Whereas like this week, the percentages are starting to level out to what we would suggest, roster percentages be. So it's just like there's a lot more to like contemplate here and there.
yeah.
And so there's not as much, or I guess there is more diversity in terms of just like which way you want to go, what your league dynamic is and players available to you. But like definitely by week 6 here, things are leveling out and you've gone through either a slow start and coming on strong or a hot start, and now you exactly know what you're dealing with. Maybe it was
and know where your weaknesses are or your strengths are.
Fool's gold, right?
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, I'm ready. I got my Dad Bod Player of the Week if you're ready.
Let's do it.
I don't know if you saw the play. I would love to have it teed up, but I didn't yet. They did a quick pass in the Lions game when they were up by 28, I believe, on second down on the 4-yard line. 4-4-5. Did a quick pass on Ross St. Brown, and he pitched it back to someone named Penei Sewell.
Yeah, that's right.
Touchdown. Flag on the play, so he didn't. But the big man dove. The big fella dove for that. He wanted that end zone. And I believe he wanted that as a wide receiver at one point, too, later on in the game. And the Lions were just letting the big fellas, like, try to catch passes, line up outside. Like, they also threw another pass to, I believe, Decker at one point, which was overthrown. But, like, they were determined to get a big fella touchdown in that game. And I appreciate it. So, but Penei Sewell with the wrap around and a dive for the end zone, even if it didn't count, it counted in our books over here. So we appreciate it, big fella.
Pretty nimble. Pretty dang nimble. It's impressive.
It is. moving 300 pounds that fast, that nimble. Yeah, I don't want to tackle that. Let's put it that way. I don't want any part of that.
Cool. All right. Well, if anyone out there has fantasy football questions, tweet at us at Fantasy Dad Pods. Week 7 coming up. Any ads or drops or sit start advice, feel free and let us know. We'll try to help you out. But otherwise, we thank you for joining us. We appreciate you listening. Take care. Be well. And until next time, see ya.
Yeah.